Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be discussing one of the biggest red flags that I've seen subs commit within the community there. I'm going to be sharing a personal story of how this caused everything to go to hell and back, some of the reasons why subs do this, some of the consequences of doing this, and why they outweigh any of the potential benefits of why you would do so in the first place. And last, I'm going to provide you with a couple of tips for both DOMs and subs of how you can prevent and deal with this so it doesn't blow up your own kink relationships. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It's how we make the channel bigger, and in this case, bigger is better. Let's begin. So what is this big issue or red flag that is common for subs, particularly subs who are new to the lifestyle? Simply put, it's not calling out your safe words when you need to during a scene. And while we do talk about the importance of this communication, some of you might be wondering, how bad can it get? Well, we're about to find out. We're going to wind back the clock here to where I was a young Dom in my 20s. Not exactly when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, but a little bit afterwards. I was young, single, I had a couple other buddies in the same boat there. We were all gaining skills quickly. We were highly recommended by the veterans in our community. At the same time, a new girl had moved into town there, and she was starting to explore the lifestyle for the first time as well. She was very friendly and was doing well with meeting new people. Over time, she had arranged for separate play sessions with me and my two other buddies. We had our own different rooms and spots there where we did a scene with them. It was not coordinated. Afterwards, we did find out that we had all played with the same person, reported that we had a very positive experience. Though, for a while after we had done these scenes, we hadn't seen her. About a month later, her friend had told us that she had actually had a very different experience. During all three of our separate scenes, we had all done the same thing that had caused her to experience a trigger, which was such a bad effect for her that not only did she leave the lifestyle for a while there, she moved to another town. Now, of course, the three of us were devastated. We asked her, what was the trigger word? She hadn't even told her friend what it was that had happened. So we sat down, we compared notes. Did we do everything right, like asking about hard limit, trigger words, anything that they were not okay with, what we had done in the scenes, and we had all done something very similar with someone who was new to the lifestyle there. But we could never figure it out. We still don't know to this day what had happened or had caused it all to blow up. For us, it was a huge damage to our pride. It made us doubt our own abilities. Obviously for her, she had a horrible experience there where she chose not to continue with the lifestyle. And that's something that you never want to happen. And the purpose of communication is to make sure that we can help to avoid these things. So the real question becomes then, why do subs not actually talk about their trigger words? Because you can ask them up front, do you have any hard limits? Do you have anything that you're uncomfortable with? But sometimes they can still not come forward with this information. So why is that? There's three main reasons that I've found that this has been very common. One is to be a people pleaser. It's often in a submissive's nature. They want to make the other person happy. They want to be able to serve. And they don't want to feel that their inexperience is going to hold back the Dom. Another idea is even the fear of losing being able to play with potential partners, that if they're not, pushing through and giving it their all, that, Doms aren't going to want to play with them. That, if they're not good enough, they won't be selected to come back again, that they'll be judged or shamed for their lack of skill or ability. And sometimes I've even seen scenarios there where they don't even know how to call out a safe word. I've seen some bad examples there where there wasn't even the communication beforehand about what safe words are, when to use them, and how. So that when they get into that position, if they're freezing up, or if they're feeling the anxiety, or if any of the other myriad of factors that would cause you to want to use a safe word, they don't know how or how to react to it. So what are some of the consequences of this? Or first, if you also ever get a Dom who tells you those things where you have to be a people pleaser, you shouldn't, or they're not going to play with you again if you use your safe words, or not talk to you about the communication and importance of using safe words in the first place, that is also a red flag, and you should not be playing with that person. So the consequences of not using your safe words. One thing that you're going to find is you're going to suffer from sub shutdown. you're not going to be able to give it your all. You're not going to be able to be a people pleaser. And you're not going to be able to perform the way that you're hoping to in that scene. Not being able to give what it is that you can because you're shutting down because of all these other emotions is going to hold you back and create barriers, which is the exact opposite of what you were hoping to be able to do during the performance. Another thing for you to be able to bear in mind of the consequences is how the Dom's going to feel. As I was mentioning in the story, all three of us, we felt horrible. It was not enjoyable, and we would probably not want to play with that person again. I've had other stories of things like this happening where I've simply ended play partner relationships because I knew my partner wasn't communicating what their actual needs were, and I didn't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole, and no self-respecting Dom will want to either. So if you actually want to please your Dom, show that you can clearly communicate your safe words so you can actually work on things together to get to the pleasurable point, which is the whole reason why we're doing this. One of the other big consequences that you're going to face is it breaks trust. If you break trust, the scene's never going to go well. Everything's not going to go well. Even if you're trying to play with someone, you're getting past it. It can create doubt of, is my sub actually communicating properly? Is there something else I need to be working on? Now all of a sudden the Dom's mind frame isn't even where they needed to be because they're worried about whether or not the proper trust is there. So that is, again, just going to take away from the experience that you're hoping to have. And I will say that lies will never survive the lifestyle. In many of the scenes that we do, you're going to be experiencing vulnerability, regardless of your role. And when you're vulnerable, you're going to feel things. And it's going to be hard to try to conceal things from your other partner because you are going to be experiencing an intimate moment, whether it's just a regular scene or someone that you've been playing with for years. I've seen many relationships not hold up because there wasn't good fundamentals, someone was lying, holding something back, or not being honest about their actual needs, and this is going to build up and cause problems in the future. So it's much better to be able to address this beforehand and develop these healthy habits before you start to get into the lifestyle and delving into scenes. And there's never going to be a reason why you should not be calling out a safe word that isn't going to make things worse in the end. Now, we've talked a lot about the problem, how it impacts, and we understand some of the reasoning behind it. So what are a few things that we can do in our scenes to be able to help prevent this from happening? First off, the best way to not have that happen in your scene is to deal with it beforehand. This is where strong communication before you engage in a scene is crucial. Being able to talk to your partner and be like, okay, what safe words are we going to use? Are we going to use the standard green, yellow, red? Do you have any personal safe words that you want to use? Blueberry pancakes, for instance. Do you have any triggers, any hard limits, things that you've struggled with before? By having this conversation, you are already inviting your partner to partake in talking about these things beforehand. And this is not just the responsibility of the Dom to do when they're negotiating. Subs need to be bringing that up with their Doms in those scenes as well, talking about what their safe words are, what they're comfortable with. Because if you don't bring it up at this stage, you're not going to be able to do so as easily later on. If you've already talked about what your concerns are, you've already broken the ice. So it's going to be much easier to talk about these things in the scene when you're feeling much more intense feelings at that point. Another important thing that I do when I'm playing with someone who's new is I do frequent check-ins. The first scene is never going to be a grand one. It's never going to be the best that we ever had. Because every couple of minutes I'm asking them how they're doing. I'm checking in. It's like, what is your color? Are you doing good? Do we need to take a break? How are you feeling? This is something as an experienced player that I'm able to help bring to that scene, because if I'm also bringing that up, again, I'm creating the space for them to be able to say how they're feeling and encouraging them to feel safe to be able to talk to me about what they're actually experiencing. Again, we're just seeing here the pattern of creating opportunities for communication before, during the scene, and even afterwards as well. The common theme of being able to be successful in this lifestyle is communication. Now, we've talked about this beforehand, we're talking about it during the scene. What happens if we get to that really bad scenario where we're noticing that a sub is starting to shut down or act a little bit differently? What are some things that we can try to notice to be able to take proactive action to either check in or end the scene and transfer over into aftercare? Well, these are not the only things that you can notice, but these are things that I have noticed a lot and has helped me to be able to tell when some of my subs might be having a little bit of trouble. If we're doing an impact play scene and they start to tense up, their muscles are locking in, I'm seeing like their shoulders coming in, their necks coming in, it means that they're becoming protective. They're becoming defensive. They're no longer being open and vulnerable. This is a clear sign that I should be doing another check-in. And even if they say that they're good, unless I'm getting some confirmation that they are relaxing in their body, I'm not going to feel safe continuing. Because, you know, maybe in the rare case, they might be okay being tense as hell. But if I don't know the person, I have to make sure that I'm safe as well with checking in with their body to make sure that it's also communicating that things are okay. If you see sudden changes in temperature, goosebumps, abnormal sweating going onto the body there, shivering, trembling, lack of verbal communication if they were talking before, all these are signs that something has changed within the scene. And if you don't know your partner well, you should be making extra check-ins at those points to make sure that everything is okay. And I will say this, with any of my long-term partners, ongoing contracts there for training, that's where I found success, is making sure that I'm talking to them, they're talking to me, and we're building these experiences together. And then the next time, as you build on that experience, you can go further, because now you're establishing more trust. And the more trust that you can put into the bank, the better that your scenes can go, the more things that you can try and experiment with to be able to further develop yourself along this road. So wrapping up in summary, submissives, one of the worst things that you can do in the scene to your dom is to not call out your safe word. We understand that the reasons why we often feel like we should be doing that for our doms as a gift is actually going to cause consequences that are going to make things absolutely worse and undo all the goodwill that we were trying to accomplish in the first place. And now we have a couple of ways to help prevent this from happening. So the next time you're in a scene, make sure that you talk with your partner the importance of safe words, what type you want to use, and things that you want to avoid or limit the scope of your scene, and see how you're able to grow and develop trust from there. I'll see you next time. Take care.